Hi everyone, welcome to Lump AccuWellness Foundation's presentation of point categories featuring Luo Connecting collateral points, the guest-host method. Since each connecting channel joins with its interiorly-exteriorly related channel, for example, lungs, large intestine, the connecting point can treat not only the channel to which it belongs, but also its interiorly-exteriorly related channel. In other words, when we use lung 7, we affect not only the lung channel, but also the large intestine channel. In fact, in this example, it is precisely for this reason that lung 7 affects the head and face, that is, through the large intestine channel. In fact, the connecting channel that departs from lung 7 goes to the thinner eminence, and this could not explain the effect of this point on the head. When a source point is used to tonify a given channel or organ, the connecting point of its interiorly-exteriorly related channel can be used to strengthen the treatment. The connecting point is thus chosen as a secondary point to reinforce the action of the source point, chosen as the main point to treat the primarily affected channel. For example, in case of lung qi deficiency, we may choose to use the lung channel source point, that is, lung 9, and reinforce its action by using the connecting point of its interiorly-exteriorly related channel, LI-6. This technique finds its rationale in the pathway of the connecting channels, as these join up with their interiorly-exteriorly related channels. This is also reflected in the fact that the symptomatology of each connecting channel often includes symptoms of its interiorly-exteriorly related channel. The Great Compendium of Acupuncture in 1601 discusses the combination of source point with associated connecting point and calls this combination the guest-host method, the source point being the host and the Luo point the guest. It should be noted that the source point is the main point. That is, the choice of points is determined by the pathology of the host, that is, the source point of the deceased channel. The symptoms are as follows, listing the host source point first and guest connecting point second. Lung 9, very great abyss or the great abyss, supreme whirlpool, corpse reviver. Source point, earth point, tonification point, the shoestream antique summer point, influential point of the blood vessels, Shockhampton point. Lung 9 is first aid for asphyxia, collapse, radiation poisoning. This important and frequently used point can help revive a person and bring clarity and order to a pulse picture which is chaotic. It brings the qualities of Mother Earth, in this case the spleen, to the child metal. It penetrates to the deepest levels and is indicated for someone who is in the very depths of grief or despair. As an influential reunion point of the blood vessels, lung 9 has a tremendous influence on the circulation and the quality of the blood. LI-6, side passage or deflected passage, page of history, slanting passage. Junction point or Luo connecting point, the mental tone point. Consider for problems such as retention of urine or feces, or where a person is holding on to feelings such as long-standing grief or repressed emotions, no longer relevant to the present time. LI-6 can help the patient to let go of these and move on in their life. LI-6 can be used with Lung 7 or Lung 9 to bring greater harmony and balance to the metal element, both mentally and spiritually. Helpful in cases of extreme behavioral patterns or mental confusion. Patients can be dirty or unkempt or, conversely, overly obsessive about cleanliness. Consider for wrist and forearm pain. LI-4 and Lung 7. LI-4, joining of the valleys, the great eliminator, harmonious valleys, meeting of the valleys. Source point, entry point, a Madanyang heavenly star point, greater influential point of the face and mouth, one of the 9 needles for returning yang, Shokanten point, first aid, acupuncture blockout if needles are in the lower body. A classic, powerful, and frequently used acupuncture point. As with any source point, LI-4 can be used to test for the CF, or causative factor, and also to support or augment the effect of other points on the meridian. LI-4 helps rid the body, mind, and spirit of garbage, which may have accumulated over many years. When combined with bladder 59, it can have a marked effect of further removing toxins from the system. Both points have the additional name of Great Eliminator. The patient may experience a physical or emotional discharge after treatment, as it eventually brings calmness to the system. LI-4 is forbidden throughout pregnancy. This point assists the patient in letting go on all levels, but especially with sadness, grief, or a sense of loss, thus allowing in those things of value. Consider for problems in the face and mouth, such as migraines, headaches, toothache, earache, or nasal congestion. When used with liver 3, a protocol known as the 4 gates, LI-4 can have a wonderful effect of calming the patient on the levels of body, mind, or spirit. LI-4 strengthens the defensive chi. Lung 7, narrow defile, balancing deficiencies, broken sequence. Luo Connecting point or junction point, a general junction point. Exit point, opening point of Ren Mai, coupled point of Yin Chao Mai, heel vessel, a Madanyang heavenly star point. This important point is similar in effect to spleen 21, as it is said to be a special junction point which affects all junction points. Lung 7 helps maintain rhythm, one role of the Po or corporeal soul, and balance amongst all of the officials. Effective for problems of the mouth, throat, head, and nose. Consider for constipation or retention of toxins, both mentally and physically, often combined with LI-4 and LI-20 for this. Lung 7 helps to enable the release of tears if suppressed by chronic grief and sadness. This point can be effective for heat and pain in the palm of the hand, tension in the chest, chest disorders with heavy mucus, or breathlessness. Spleen 3 and stomach 40. Spleen 3, supreme white, greater white or extreme whiteness, or great brightness. Source point, earth point, orary point, 9 to 11 a.m. Seasonal orary point, late summer. Shoestream, antique summer point, cerebral calm point, equilibrium and joy point. This earth point invigorates and brings stability to the spleen, and as such can be effective in cases of overthinking, worry, unclear thinking, or poor memory. Spleen 3 helps the spleen to self-regulate, particularly for those who are always giving out to others, over-mothering, and thus becoming exhausted themselves. Consider for damp conditions such as tiredness, coldness, lack of perspective, or insomnia. Probably named after the bright and illuminating planet Venus, which has the same name, and white reminds us that Earth connects to and nourishes metal. Commonly used with stomach 42 or stomach 36. Reinforces the transforming and transporting actions of the spleen. Stomach 40, abundant splendor, abundant prosperity, rich and prosperous. A Luo connecting point or junction point, the quiet word point. This wonderful nurturing point connects and enhances the official who rots and ripens to the one that transports and transforms, thus bringing balance and harmony to the earth element. Stomach 40 is one of the main points in TCM to resolve and clear damp and phlegm from the system, and thus can help with mental fogginess and confusion, lethargy, poor memory, worry, or obsessive thinking. Next, stomach 42 and spleen 4. Stomach 42, rushing yang or surging yang. Source point, exit point, shock content point, perfect calm point. This frequently used point can calm the system if there is worry, anxiety, mania, overthinking, or instability troubling the patient. Stomach 42 can be combined with triple burner 4 for general harmonization of the system, or with LI4 to augment this calming effect. Conversely, it can be used to invigorate the whole meridian. Spleen 4, Prince's grandson, the supreme grandchild, the Yellow Emperor, ancestor and descendant, grandfather and grandson. Luo connecting point or junction point. Opening point of Chongmai. Coupled point of Yinwei Mai. One of the most beautiful and powerful points in the body. Consider where a patient has long-standing lethargy and weakness, self-pity, has a weak digestion, is anxious or depressed. Spleen 4 helps in cases of excessive bleeding, especially for painful, irregular periods. Spleen holds the blood together. It's also good for fibroids or swelling of the abdomen. This point's name, Gongsun, has the connotation of continuity through the generations and is the family name of the Yellow Earth Emperor. It connects to Chongmai and thus to pre- and post-heavenly Qi. The meridian passes through the 3 jiao before entering the uterus, thereby regulating menstruation. Spleen 4 helps circulation in the legs and, as the Luo connecting point, promotes balance and equilibrium within the earth element. Heart 7 and SI 7. Heart 7, Spirit Gate, Central Metropolis. Source point, Earth point, Sedation point, Shoestream, Antique Summer point. It's also called the Courage point, Shokantan point. First aid for shock, hysteria, electric shock, heart failure, extreme anxiety. This frequently used point is powerful for calming and steadying the spirit of the heart. It helps in opening or closing the spirit gate. The shen should be able to flow unhindered, Therefore, this gate should be able to open and close appropriately for its function to be fulfilled. Consider where there is no will to go on, chronic sadness, or lack of spirit, indicating the gate may be closed. Treatment in these cases is usually tonification. The patient may be experiencing hallucinations, exceedingly high spirits, or uncontrollable talkativeness, indications that the gate may be stuck open. Treatment is usually sedation. Heart 7 can be effective for palpitations, arrhythmia, effects of a broken heart, insomnia, worry, or anxiety. Earth and strengthens the heart when it is jittery. Consider for shock at some level, which is characterized by uncontrollably bursting into tears, desperation, panic, hysteria, or deep exhaustion. Source points affect the Yuan Qi and thus the patient's constitutional well-being. Small intestine 7, upright branch to the upright, Luo connecting point, greater influential point for the head and neck, the equilibrium point. SI7 connects to the heart channel. When the heart is upright and correct, it has virtue. The small intestine helps to keep things clear, no confusion. For an inability to grasp or hold an object. Particularly useful if there is pain in the fingers, forearm, or elbow. Consider for psychopathic apprehension, depression, or inappropriate conduct, especially of a sexual nature. We cannot separate properly if we are not upright. SI7 gives support and balance when a person is leaning over to one side or where there is restricted head rotation or a patient is in their head, confused. SI7 is said to affect the thyroid and endocrine systems. SI4 and Heart 5. Small intestine 4, wrist bone, source point, security point. As with any source point, SI4 is invaluable when you are wary of overstimulating or oversedating, especially with chronic conditions. This is because of their inbuilt self-regulating quality. Consider for arthritic pain and spasms of the fingers or wrists, or where there is dullness of sense of touch. The wrist bone should be flexible so we can reach out and touch. Consider for inappropriate behavior and comments, sometimes of a sexual nature, lack of discrimination. SI4 helps a person return from a confused, disjointed, muddled place, particularly noticeable during conversation, when your questions aren't clearly answered or the subject is suddenly changed to a clean, focused, and more mature communication with other people. Heart 5, penetrating inside, communication with the interior, Luo connecting point, a Madanyang heavenly star point, audacity point. Heart 5 enables a deeper connection to be made with the patient. Being the Luo connecting point or the junction point, Heart 5 communicates with SI. In doing so, it harmonizes these two officials and brings in the discriminatory influence of the SI to maintain the heart's virtue and thus the mandate of heaven. Heart 5 connects to the tongue and eye for stuttering and speech disorders, palpitations, neuralgia, or spasm of the arm. Heart 5 helps to see further beyond the mask, enables the patient to be more in touch with their real self. A peaceful point that gives strength and stability to a person shocked or traumatized. Heart 5 aids clear thinking and communication, helps maintain emotional harmony. Kidney 3 and bladder 58. Kidney 3, greater mountain stream, supreme stream, reflecting sea, great torrent. Source point, earth point, shoe stream, antique summer point. Point used in the husband-wife treatment protocol. Kidney 3 is one of 9 needles for returning yang. Earth controls water via the Ku cycle, giving it stability and steadying it. Kidney 3 calms the type of exaggerated fear that imbalances in the water element can sometimes produce. If the earth within the kidney is deficient, a person can also experience sore throat, insomnia, inertia, cystitis, a feeling of heaviness and weariness in the 4 limbs, or irregular menstruation. The shoe stream point regulates the function of the uterus and the water pathways. Kidney 3 has a strong connection to the original or Yuan Qi. Consider for lack of will for those who are excessively driven or for hypertension, often tender upon palpation if unbalanced. Bladder 58, fly and scatter, taking flight, flying yang. Luo Connecting point, tirelessness point. This powerful point can bring about a feeling of well-being and greater vitality, and help to strengthen the body and mind. Bladder 58 has a direct bearing on hemorrhoids as it connects to the anus. Consider for general weakness of the legs, brings clarity. Bladder 58 is often used with kidney 4 to bring harmony and balance to the water element. Commonly used on the mental level, almost like a window of the sky. Bladder 58 can steady a person if they are emotionally scattered because of fear. Bladder 64 and kidney 4. Bladder 64, capital bone, citadel of the bone. Source point, strong tendon point, fine appetite point. First aid point for wasp or bee sting on the tongue or throat. Bladder 64 can strengthen the bladder official and can be used for general stiffness or lack of secretions in the system, leading to stiff neck, torticollis, lower back pain, dimness of vision, or cataracts. It is a distal point and can be used if the inner canthus of the eye has become red and dry. Consider where there is no desire for food and drink. Helpful for sensations of cold in the legs. Said to help the bladder official in storing the collective memory of all the officials. Often used with kidney 3. Kidney 4, great bell, big bell clock, great cup. Luo Connecting point. Kidney 4 can have a powerful effect on calming a person's emotions, particularly fear or for a lack of self-confidence. This can often be as a result of working too relentlessly, forcing their will to overcome great obstacles in life, and thus depleting their reserves, their Jing. Kidney 4 helps to balance, stabilize, and harmonize the water officials, strengthens the back, stores a reserves of energy, often tender upon palpation if unbalanced. Triple burner 4 and pericardium 6. Triple burner 4, yang pand, accumulation of yang, source point, return to calm point. Triple burner 4 can do all that triple burner 1, 2, and 3 can do, but to a lesser degree. Triple burner evenly distributes Yuan Qi, or the original or source Qi, throughout the entire system. Triple burner 4 is a potent point and can be seen as the source point of all source points. Some schools, mainly Japanese, recommend treatment of this point at every session. Triple burner has a strong analogy with water, warmth, and communication, as it connects to all three jiao. Consider triple burner 4 for an inability to grasp things or to raise the arm, or as a local point for pain or stiffness in the wrist, arm, and shoulder. For hearing problems, example, tinnitus, deafness, a general lack of enthusiasm or emotional instability. Pericardium 6, inner frontier gate or the inner gate, inner pass. Luo connecting point, opening point of Yin Wei Mai, coupled point of Chong Mai, general Luo connecting point, one of the 9 needles for returning Yang, perfect love point, broken heart gate, gate to success, conserver of Yin, local point for travel sickness, morning sickness, or chemotherapy-induced nausea. Pericardium connects to the inner aspect of a person, triple burner to the outer. This potent point restores harmony and balance between the triple burner and pericardium and is often used with triple burner 5, the outer frontier gate. Particularly useful in cases of anxiety, sadness, or lack of joy, perhaps as a result of relationship conflicts. Consider pericardium 6 for stomach disorders, especially nausea and morning sickness, which may start 5 or 6 weeks into pregnancy, but is often gone by the 14th week. For irregular or painful menstruation, insomnia, tightness in the chest, heavy-heartedness, or palpitations. Pericardium and triple burner meet in the chest. Quan, in its name, Neiguan, indicates the importance of this gate. Pericardium 7 and triple burner 5. Pericardium 7, great mound, source point, earth point, sedation point, shoestream, antique summer point, ghost point, sexual calm point, one of 9 needles for returning Yang. Consider pericardium 7 when the patient is suffering from insecurity, vulnerability, sadness, rejection, or lack of joy, particularly when associated with relationship difficulties. As the earth point, pericardium 7 calms, stabilizes, and strengthens the meridian. It also affects the heart in this way, protecting and steadying it, especially in times of emotional turmoil. Consider pericardium 7 when there is hysterical laughter or crying, or where mania or nervous panic is being exhibited. This point can be effective in cases of carpal tunnel syndrome or heat in the palm of the hand. Triple burner 5, the outer frontier gate, external gate, conserver of Yang. Luo connecting point, general junction point, opening point of Yang Wei Mai, the linking vessel, coupling point of Dai Mai, first aid point for fever. This third gate on the meridian regulates the balance of heat within a person, which can manifest as physical or emotional coldness, or conversely as excessive openness. Perhaps the patient is shutting the gate of communication, doesn't want to hear, see, or know. Perhaps it is wedged open. Triple burner is like a social ambassador reaching out into the world, giving a wider perspective on things. Allows love to be felt and shared between the two worlds, inner and outer. Triple burner 5 is often paired with pericardium 5, the inner frontier gate, both of which have Quan in their names, indicating major gates. Both channels meet within the chest, helps with relationship difficulties, especially if a person is feeling insecure or vulnerable. Consider for deafness, tinnitus, trigeminal neuralgia, throbbing headache, or migraine. Helps bring back the sparkle in a person's life, particularly after a severe fever. Liver 3 and gallbladder 37. Liver 3, supreme rushing, great surge, happy calm. Source point, earth point, shoestream antique summer point. Total relaxation point, a Madanyong heavenly star point, Shokonten point. Independent point for spasms. This important and frequently used point is indicated for many conditions. It is particularly effective when sedated for a person who is tense, overexcited, easily angered or annoyed, agitated or tightly wired. Liver 3 brings calm and balance to the system. It can be combined with LI4 to accentuate this calming effect and help eliminate toxins on both the mental and physical levels. When tonified, it can bring a great surge of energy to the meridian. Its alternative name of happy calm describes its effect well. Consider liver 3 for painful or irregular menstruation. Gallbladder 37, bright and clear, bright light. Luo Connecting point. The gallbladder is the only official that deals with pure energy and pure substance. If the gallbladder official becomes impure or contaminated, we must consider treating here first. Gallbladder 37 brings clarity and stability. The more stable the wood, the better the coordination of the muscles. For example, muscular spasms, where a person can't stand for long periods or where there is muscle rigidity, paralysis, or neuralgia of the calf muscles. Good for people who have had an excessive intake of drugs. We must keep gallbladder in harmony with liver because of the wood's influence on planning and decision making. Gallbladder 37 has a major effect on the eyes. Clear sightedness, improves eyesight, helps eliminate floaters. Useful when there is a lack of spiritual or mental vision. Gallbladder 40 and liver 5. Gallbladder 40, wilderness mound. Source point, unshakable calm point. Gallbladder 40 helps bring perspective in a person's life, particularly on the mental and spiritual levels. If we are lost and climb a hill, in this case a burial mound, we can see where we are. Helpful for decision making and brings clarity. Gallbladder 40 can be effective for joint pains, hips, wrist, knees, and for sciatica and rib pain. Consider for one-sided headaches or migraines. This is a classic point to use after surgery to encourage faster healing. For those who sigh a lot, Gallbladder 40 strengthens the wood official and thus a person's resolve, and as such can be helpful for timidity. Liver 5, insect ditch, insect gate, wormwood canal. Luo Connecting point, master of blood, menstrual point. Liver 5 brings the wood officials together, restoring their stability, unity and harmony, and can be helpful for depression, a common liver-related condition. Consider for a feeling of insects crawling on the skin or dreams of things crawling. This point clears the ditch. Liver 5 connects to the genitals and can help in cases of sexual problems such as premature ejaculation, sterility, or genital itching. Consider liver 5 for menstrual problems. Helpful if there is difficulty flexing the knee or for throat restrictions due to emotional problems. The deep pathway flows through here. The combinations most practitioners use are described with the relevant symptoms. LI-4 and Lung-7 restore the descending of lung qi, expel wind, treat headaches. Triple burner 4 and pericardium 6 regulate the triple burner, move liver qi, calm the mind. Spleen 3 and stomach 40 tonify the spleen and resolve phlegm. Liver 3 and gallbladder 37 brighten the eyes in liver patterns. Bladder 64 and kidney 4 treat sciatica. Bladder 64 on the affected side, kidney 4 on the opposite one. Thank you very much for your attention.